And now, the testing procedure for the wood sample.
Using a caliper, measure the sample diameter at its middle, where the loading pin will be applied, and report the value. Then place the wood sample on the supporting pins to estimate the span. Note that a flexural test produces compressive stress in the concave side and tensile stress in the convex side of the material. This creates an area of shear along the midline. In order to prevent the primary failure of the material to come from the shear stresses, but rather from the tensile or compressive stresses, the span-to-depth ratio must be controlled to minimize shear stresses. Adjust the distance of the pins by sliding the 3-point bending supports after unscrewing their securing screws. Report that distance as the span length. Then reposition the wood sample on the supporting pins and make sure that the sample is properly aligned, since improper alignment may result in a non-uniform stress distribution along the cross-section. Using manual controls, lower the stage at medium speed to approximately 20 mm above the sample and at low speed to approximately 2 mm above the sample. Then perform the following test sequence to find the surface of the sample. A zero load, followed by a fine contact with position Z as the stage axis, the force in the Z direction as the load cell axis. This test will be performed in the positive direction at a velocity of 0.01 mm per second with a contact criteria of 5 gram force and stage limit of 3 mm with stage repositioning of 2 times the load cell resolution. Then we will insert a zero position function with position Z as the stage axis parameter. We can now execute the test. Then proceed with the bending test using the following sequence. A zero load followed by a move relative using position Z as the stage axis with an amplitude of 10 mm at a velocity of 0.1 mm per second. We will save the results as group number underscore team number underscore bending underscore wood. We can now execute the sequence. Using manual controls, raise the stage to approximately 50 mm above the sample and dispose of the sample.